State of alert. New York City is on a heightened state of alert, and we are also hearing from Mayor Bloomberg, who is saying that the New York Police Department has stepped up their security at strategic locations and critical infrastructure. So this is not being taken lightly in Washington, nor is it being taken lightly in New York City and perhaps elsewhere around the country.
Just as a matter of fact, this has been brought to the alert of the Secretary of State, John Kerry. Of course, he was the senior senator from Massachusetts, and now he is Secretary of State. He is currently making a brief stop in Chicago. He's on his way back to Washington to meet with the parents of foreign service officer killed in Afghanistan recently. But the Secretary has been informed of what is going on in Boston. He started the race, I believe. What year was it? I can't remember. 2002.
Yes. Yeah, he's been in it.
Yeah.
And I want to point out one other piece of information. Commissioner Ed Davis, as I said, giving us those phone numbers if you're looking for a family member, because the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency is saying do not use your cell phone. Do not make a call. Do not use a text. They are concerned that it could potentially set up another device. So if you are trying now to find a family member, you can do so by calling this number that is on your screen. It is 617-635-4500. Again, 617-635-4500. And we can also tell you that Boston Police Department is now on what they call maximum alert, meaning all of their personnel have been called in, whether it was a day off, whether they had vacation. They are now on duty on 12-hour shifts, and they will remain on this maximum alert for the foreseeable future.
A videotape from earlier in the day of a number of ambulances and a fire truck just making its way to and through the scene to respond in any manner that they can. Again, don't necessarily be confused by the volume of debris on the street. That obviously is a byproduct of the marathon itself, but there are still clear markers and indicators along Boylston Street of what happened. And as Sean Kelly has been reporting, as Bob Halloran has been reporting, that Boylston Street is a crime scene right now. So bear that in mind if you had any intention. Don't go to the area. I wouldn't say have intention of going.
And the crime scene extends from that point of Exeter and Boylston all the way, continuing down Boylston Street to, I believe, Berkeley. We're also hearing, Commissioner Davis said that immediately when this happened, it activated the response that they have in place by contacting the FBI, contacting the state police. And News Center 5's Kelly Tuthill is reporting through Twitter right now that FBI agents have now arrived at the Brigham. So we are expecting more law enforcement officials to be going to our area hospitals, perhaps to talk to the victims and check in there.
As Sean Kelly was telling us not long ago, there were a number of federal officials in town for various reasons. Again, you're dealing with vacation week, you're dealing with a marathon, you're dealing with a Red Sox home game. There are a number of reasons for people to have been here, and there were a great number of those people here. So obviously they are on scene. Let me just expand a little bit on what Jim Lokay said a few minutes ago. The Bruins game has been postponed for tonight. So if you had tickets for the game and thought about it, it's been postponed. The game between the Senators and the Bruins, scheduled for tonight. The NHL did announce it's been postponed. It will be announced, the makeup day will be announced at a later date. They aren't certain what it is. The NHL wishes to express its sympathy to all affected by the tragic events that took place in Boston earlier this afternoon.
And it is a tragedy when you consider that this was a day that was supposed to be full of fun, full of support for friends and family. It has sadly resulted in at least 2 deaths that we are aware of at this point in time, and at least 23 other people who have been injured. Let's get to News Center 5's Liam Martin, who is at one of our area hospitals. And Liam, it wouldn't surprise me if this number continues to rise of the various people who are injured as a result of these explosions.
Well, Liz, I'm at Mass General, and we just talked with the Director of Emergency Services here. He just gave an update. 22 patients here alone at this hospital. 6 of those are in critical condition, and the doctor said that a few of those 6 are absolutely life-threatening cases. They're all in surgery at this point. I asked what kind of injuries. This is mostly amputations and loss of limbs of those 6 people. Another 5 seriously injured of those 22. And then the rest are kind of walking wounded, as he described them. So certainly a bloody scene here at Mass General as they tried to get these people cared for. I talked with that Director of Emergency Services and said, just describe this in terms of what you've experienced as the Director of Emergency Services here. And he said, nothing like it. I've never seen anything like it. He described this as from a war zone. Those were his words, to be in the emergency room here as these people have been coming in. I talked with one runner from the marathon who was coming out of the hospital as we arrived, and he had just crossed over the finish line a couple of minutes before that first explosion outside of Marathon Sports. And he said he looked back, and he said he just described it as a fireball, that it looked like a fireball. I said, what does it sound like? And he said, unlike anything I've ever heard before. It was just this massive, massive explosion. And at the time, and now we know that those were bombs. And he said it sounded like bombs. It didn't sound like manhole cover, natural gas explosion, anything like that. There was just a massive boom, and then sheer panic for a lot of the people there. He had to run and find his kids and his wife were waiting for him near the finish line. Unfortunately, they were okay. But it was just, one example. And they'll be updating us throughout the day here to see how those 6 patients who are critical are doing, and we'll make sure we relay that information to you.
Liam, thank you. But let's go into the newsroom. Jim Loke is dealing with breaking news right now. Jimmy, what do you know?
And the Federal Aviation Administration now instituting a ground stop for all flights into Logan Airport. So Logan Airport, while the airport itself physically is open, no flights are getting in at this point. We know that they put that no-fly zone over Boylston Street, over the route of the marathon, over the scene where this explosion was. We now know the airport, no flights getting in. That ground stop now in full effect. So for people coming in, if people are expecting folks to fly in or heading in that direction, check with your airline. But nothing's getting in for the time being, and you can imagine that's going to cause a big bottleneck on that side of town as well.
Jim Loke reporting from there.
I'm just curious, Jim, are you aware of whether any flights are departing, or is it just completely just flights coming in that are ground stopped right now?
The ground stop, as far as we know, Liz, is for the planes coming in, but if you check back with me in a few minutes, I will look into that, and I'll give you a heads up on what the plan is.
Which just continues to underscore the scope and the magnitude and the severity of what happened here in Boston today. When you learn of it first happening, your fear was that someone had gotten hurt. A number of people have been hurt. And as Liam Martin just said, there are already 2 people confirmed dead, but there are a great number of people in serious condition with life-threatening injuries, and that number itself may expand. And then you're also dealing with the reality that it is exactly what you greatly feared it would be. It is a bomb. It is an act of terror. The commissioner would not say, when directly asked, was this an act of terrorism? He wouldn't use the word terrorism. He said, you do the math.
But Governor Deval Patrick called it an attack. And speaking of Governor Deval Patrick and the commissioner who briefed us just a short time ago, we understand that Mayor Menino, who has been at the Brigham recovering from his broken leg and surgery, is now out of the hospital. We are expecting him to be briefing us as well, or at least briefing the media. I know that Governor Deval Patrick said that he thought that he was probably on his way. This is his city. He's very proud of the city. Now, this is another picture coming to us. This is the JFK Library. This is smoke from the JFK Library explosion. Again, we do not know if this third explosion is related to the 2 that occurred at the Boston Marathon finish line. Commissioner Ed Davis telling us during his press conference that they are treating it as if it is related.
But again, just look at the pieces. We were originally told this was an electrical fire. Look at the significant smoke screen from an electrical fire. We have some sound from a witness on the scene back in Boston. Listen to this.
We were standing across from Lord and Taylor, and to our left, toward the finish line, 2 huge bombs, smoke coming out of buildings, and then something else to the left of us, and the whole thing stopped, and they sent us away.
Big, huge explosion while we were having lunch, and everybody ran for the doors and windows, and we were sheltered under tables.
Yeah, I work in the Prudential, but I don't know what's going on.
We're at the Lennox. We opened the window.
The elevator shook the whole building. It was quite a blast. 2 of them. Scared the hell out of us. What did I see? I was watching the race, and we heard an explosion, and it was a little bit louder than an M80, a cherry bomber, and we saw all the smoke was right across the street from us, basically. It was the most serious thing I dealt with being on a fire department in 26 years. It was a terrible scene.
When I made the turn, it was like the first pop, boom, and then another one, boom, and then another one, boom. It's like one after the other. It was just one big cloud of smoke, white smoke, and then the other one after the other after the other. Okay. It was just crazy. Okay? Yeah, I'm okay. We're choosing the grandstand, and I was just worried about it, Yeah. But it's bad. Let me tell you, this is really, really bad.
He described 3. We have no confirmation of 3. We believe that 2 were at the finish line, and they are trying to determine if the one at JFK is related to this at all, if this is an accidental fire. There was a controlled explosion, but that was a good hour ago. It wasn't near when he was running through.
We want to also share with you that if you are anyway trying to reach a family member, do not use your cell phone to call them in the area. You are asked to call 617-635